Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we'll be playing as some Empire here against the forces of Chaos. So I've been seeing Chaos in the ladder, or not the ladder I should say, just the quick battle matchup quite a lot lately. What you'll often see them do is they'll spew out here with a bunch of Marauder Horsemen. So light cav and kind of skirmisher cav seems to be making its way into the meta as of late. Very versatile, and they'll just kind of chip away at your forces. So this is what you'll be seeing a lot of. So this to come and pick apart your forces. Something you don't expect to see a lot of for Chaos, but the Marauder Horsemen are just so good. So yeah, that's going to be their kind of assault force, and then they also will typically bring a sorcerer with the lore of fire here on a manticore, give him some speed and mobility, and his main role actually is to just get out there ahead of the army and just blast you with fireballs, chip away at your highest value unit day in, day out. Long range on that thing, so you'll be seeing that coming in. And in the back, essentially what he's going to do is just sit back and wait. So get as much damage done with this early force. Then his main core is going to be made up of Chaos Marauders interspersed with Chosen, and then the beautiful Mirror Guard units, so these regiment around Chaos Warriors. So a pretty strong, sturdy core that's just going to sit back and wait. And then his midfield game is going to be comprised of Kholek, the Summoners of Rage Dragon Ogres, and then Chaos Warhounds with Poison. Poison meant to slow the enemy. This is a pretty devastating combo. Get these Warhounds with high speed onto a force with Poison, get them really debuffed, and then the Summoners of Rage here are going to come in and slaughter anything you can do. So this is a pretty good anti-cavalry build. So he wants to own the range, allow him to pick you apart with these Marauder Horsemen, do as much fire with his Winds of Magic here with the spell, which is already coming in, and then finally in the last stages come up and clean you up with this elite core of infantry. So a really interesting build. So what do I have to counter this? Well, I decided to bring the Temple Harp Lumen Ark here. And basically what it does is, well, it can snipe forces, so I thought this would be key. If I could keep it in the back line or something to at least start to snipe at Kholek, or maybe even force that Chaos Sorcerer back, as well as the fact that this thing does have a net, so I'd be able to control Kholek as he does come in. Then the rest of my force here does have 2 unbreakable units, one of the Flagellants, the other one of Sigmar's Sons, backing that up by 2 Great Swords units, a Demigryph Knight, just a standard version. And then over on the left flank I have Outriders, and then Outriders with grenade launchers, and then flying around an Empire Captain, and then we also have Boris Todbringer with his healing. Actually, a second pair of Demigryph Knights, one with halberds. But yeah, here comes those fireballs. On that high trajectory and the angle that I gave it, you can just see how much freaking damage it does. When you launch it from far away, it'll actually go through multiple models. Whereas if you get a steep angle, so if this guy's operating up close and he tries to fire down, it'll probably just penetrate one guy. But operating at an extreme distance like this and getting a nice curve on that fireball will mean that it does a lot of damage. So I'm already starting to take some punishing fire. But I'm going to start to push forward, and I'm able to kind of send his guy away by pulling up with the Lumen Ark. And what I'm going to be trying to do is a little bit of dodging. This is kind of dangerous for me to be in this type of position. Really should not be presenting a flank to that fireball, because you can see when it comes in just how much penetrating damage it should do. So I think instead of outrunning this, I should have instead just formed up in wide formation like this and just taken the blow on 1 or 2 models, as opposed to letting him snipe a couple. But I guess I wasn't super familiar with how that spell operates. In any case, what I'm going to be starting to do is roll up. I'm going to try and bait him into engagement here. So the Temple Harp Lumen Ark is going to try and fire. Kholek is going to be guarded a little bit by this hill, but at least that is going to be a shot to force him back, keep him at bay. And then this meaty blob in the center of Marauders is going to try and come after me. And we'll see kind of what tricks I have up my sleeve to deal with them. For the most part, it's going to be the idea that, hey, I have some pretty quick forces here. Oh, here comes another fireball. I'm going to try and dodge this. I think it's headed towards Boris. Oh no, it looks like it's coming towards the Great Swords. Oh, yikes. So yeah, you can see how much damage that spell does, taking out unit model after unit model. But anyways, the reason I brought this Empire Captain here on a Pegasus is because I figured Chaos would be having their Sorcerer on the Manticore, and they wouldn't really have much range support, so I could sick the Empire Captain after that Chaos Sorcerer. But for now, what I'm doing in the immediate, early game here is just I need to get rid of this force. So the way I'm going to be doing that, oh, and a whiff there, is going to be trying to land some strikes on these guys with my Outriders with grenade launchers, pulling up some more Outriders with armor piercing, and just circling around with my Lords to try and control this early game. And then the Temple Harp Lumen Ark is going to try and snipe and keep his main Lords back. So essentially my play here is match his mid-game with my own mobile force. And I think I can get a little bit of an advantage here because I have slightly better range. And I have more mobility in the form of these lords. And this Temple Heart Lumen Ark lets me shut down some of his bigger guys who would love to get into the fight. And then the other forces of my guys are just going to pull up and start to close in on this engagement. But I have to be a little bit careful with my lord here as he gets out. So I'm just going to dive in, start to do a little bit of damage. But here comes his mid-game guys with the Hounds, Summoners of Rage, and these other guys. Very, very scary. But, you know, they're going to start to get in range of my Temple Heart Lumen Ark. They're going to start to get in range of my Grenadiers. And yeah, this is a little bit scary, but luckily his infantry force is kind of far out there. So if he does overcommit, I can come in with more of my guys. Those fireballs still coming in. It looks like he positioned his guys on a flank there. Really, really smart. So this is a smart player. I guess what you could do with that fireball is put it on the flank formations like this and just make sure that it gets a good angle. So what you want to do if you're countering that spell is just turn anything perpendicular to that sorcerer and just make sure that anything that comes at you is not going to be penetrating multiple people. Just make sure that it hits a single unit, or a single, fighter entity, I guess we should say, at a time. Anyways, I found this Chaos Sorcerer here, and I'm going to go start to gang up on him with two of my guys. I've had enough of him. Yes, he's going to have some supporting fire, but if he dedicates fire up here, then all I'm going to do is just come back in and try and destroy his guys who are clumped up. So here comes a couple of the grenades right into the mix. So I'll take this exchange. A little bit of damage done to my guys in exchange for taking out his sorcerer, so I'll take that trade. And it allows me to here do a fair amount of damage. So I'm stripping him of some of his little his mobility core. He's going to try and gank Boris Todbringer, who has landed here. Pretty scary position to be in as Kholek and these Summoners of Rage try and circle around. And it looks like he may be able to drag me down, so I have to have some sort of support. That's where I'm going to try and pull up with the Lumen Ark. And yeah, it looks like I've been able to isolate this little group here. I'm going to try and redeploy with my demis, with halberds, and just the standard knight. So that can probably isolate this group. So he has to be a little bit careful in terms of overcommitting, and I'm able to disengage. And with that, I decide not to commit my guys in the center. I'm just going to pull back to my infantry and use my advantage here. My Temple Ark, where is it? Oh, there it is. It's right here. Yeah, I tried to get off the net spell on him, but unfortunately it didn't quite work. I don't know why. And then somehow he dodges that point blank. So good a little micro on Kholek there. I'm still going to be able to get a net off on him last minute as he pursues. So at least the biggest beastie is out of the way. Summoners of Rage still going to be chasing after me. And here comes his guys from the back. The Mirror Guard and the infantry going to be coming in. So this is a little scary. Try and exfiltrate my Lumen Ark. And this was a pretty pivotal moment in the battle here where he starts to pull up everything from the back and throws it at my front lines. This Lumen Ark is best meant in the rear. I got a little bit too eager with it. You saw I moved it up front to try and snipe at his guys when they were operating at a distance, and then I tried to move it up here to shut down Kholek on the flank, but my opponent, again being quick on his micro, was quick to act on this and is pouncing on it. A couple things that are going my way. At least I tied down Kholek, and at least I was able to see off that sorcerer. So now this Empire captain can come back into the fight. And then what I'm going to be trying to do in this position is reform my line. I'm not quite yet ready to take this engagement. I would like to save the Lumen Ark, but throwing in units here is not good. Chaos wants to operate with everything crushing into your lines, and to throw stuff into this meat grinder would be bad for me. So instead what I'm going to do is kind of sacrifice this guy, help him maybe move along, but I'm only going to be doing that at range with my Outriders and other units, just tossing in grenades, etc. into the mix to try and at least punish the pursuit. But yeah, I have to at least, assume that this is going down. Gonna circle overhead with Boris, do an opportunistic strike on these guys. And what I'm trying to do, pull Kholek out of this chase to try and give my my Lumen Ark there a little bit of a chance. Kholek is gonna come and smash in. Looks like he did miss a little bit of that. And I'm gonna be able to grab him here with the Demigryph Knights with halberds, with this a nice little pickup for me. So now we have him isolated. And I can come and double down on him with Boris. So this is really good for me. While he did, pick off my Lumen Ark, that's disappointing. But I'm just going to throw in my Flagellants. So if anything's going to be thrown into the meat grinder, it might as well be the Flagellants. They're unbreakable. So I'm essentially going to absorb all of this chaos charge into a big squishy force. Allow the rest of my guys to just, hold firm Outriders with pistoliers, with the armor-piercing pistols or whatever rifles they're using are going to pivot over here, and they're going to start to fire into Kholek, really try and bring him down. Empire Captain is going to be brought in here as well, so I really want to snipe Kholek. Meanwhile, my grenade launchers are going to make this engagement messy. And then over here, I'm going to be shifting over with my Demigryph Knights, and they're going to come up, and I'm pulling out with these great swords. Don't want to engage Chaos Marauders. I could probably win this engagement, but if you're in a position like this to just kite, do it, and then I'm going to land a pretty free and easy Demigryph Knight charge against them. So looking for value where I can grab it. Over here, things are going really well. Demigryph Knights holding up handsomely. Boris Hodbringer popping all sorts of abilities and putting my enemy in a very tough position. The enemy does pop this Lightning Storm, or I can't remember what it's called, Crazy Vortex spell. Does some damage, mostly against these Outriders as they're trying to position to snipe at Kholek. So it's a little punishing, but not too bad. And then here in the center, I'm holding these Flagellants, taking a decent beating, but not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and commit a little bit more, some great swords here. But take a look at this, with the Demis coming in and landing that strike against the Chaos Marauders. The great swords then going to be committing as well, trying to clean this up, and then I can collapse in on the center. And then over here, take a look at this. I've pushed Kholek way down in terms of health. Really doing well. And he's going to go ahead and pull out of that position with his high mass, allowing him to do that. I will try and chase him down. Fortunately, I do lose these Demigryph Knights with halberds. And I'm just going to pull out with Boris. So mission accomplished there. It does leave my Empire Captain here isolated a little bit. I'm going to try and pull him out in pursuit of Kholek. Kholek has come back from routing. And the Summoners of Rage are angry that I've been able to deal with their lord in that way. Outriders are back up in action. Going to be trying to snipe these guys and do some damage. I'm going to try and snipe here at Kholek. He's seeking shelter amongst these Marauders. Looks like he's going to turn about, seeing a little bit of better value in this type of engagement. And I have to be careful as these Summoners of Rage do turn around. That's going to be pretty bad for me, but luckily I do have some Demigryph Knights of my own to charge in here. I'm going to pull out of this position. Hopefully we can take flight before he does. Oh, a little bit of a blow there, and these Demis pull out. Don't want to be taking that engagement. So it looks like I have enough clearance, there you go, to take off. And that drew a lot of pressure off my front, which means that I can now circle back, isolate these forces. Outrider is going to be pulling up with armor piercing, firing into the mirror guard. Tons of damage being pulled on there. And yeah, I'm saving everything I can. Looks like these Demigryph Knights have come back. My captain as well has come back. So now we're circling around, and things are looking pretty good for me. Over here where I have my unbreakable units, Kholek makes a fine target for the Outriders to turn about and try and just do more AP damage against him. Great swords are going to tank this Warhound attack, saving my grenade launchers. And then over here, I'm going to try and pivot them around to do some damage to this blob again. Empire Captain's going to seek some safety. I really need to clean up this formation of Chosen and Mirror Guard because it's doing a lot of damage against my Great Sword. So here we go. I'm going to come back around with the Great Swords, try and finish off this cluster, but I have to be very careful about this. If this comes back and sandwiches my infantry, I could very well lose. So I'm going to swap out the Demigryph Knights for the Great Swords. This is going to be a pretty punishing rear charge here. Let's watch this. So this should hopefully seal things for me, although they are not going to go down without a fight. In the front here, throwing in all sorts of guys, I'm able to clean up the remainder of these Marauder Horsemen with these Demis. And they're going to be protecting the captain as well. I come in with Karl Franz, pretty heavy health on him to try and snipe Kholek. Kholek is down to 871, 459 here. I'm trying to see if I can't take him out. This is a close fight, but again, with his Summoners of Rage able to tie me down there, I'm not able to finish him off, so that was really, really annoying, down to 353 health. And now Boris is in a really tricky position. He does have a couple Demis here to reinforce, but these Summoners of Rage are so good against large creatures like this. I'm really unable to pull out, and so I'm taking a lot of unnecessary damage. This is really bad for me. I'm going to charge in with these Demigryph Knights to try and save Boris, and it looks like it's going to be just enough of a window to allow him to pull out of that fight. Now we have a fight, monster v monster here. Boris is up in the air and he'll be able to heal up a little bit. Does have some more health to go. Kholek, however, does come back from the fight, so that was not good. Meanwhile, this engagement here, I've been able to smash the Chosen finally, but it did take a pretty big toll on my various units. And this Empire Captain here with 450 health, just hanging on by a thread. Gonna try and save these Demigryph Knights who are circled. But I'm a little wary about engaging too quickly. In the back here, I did have some outriders with grenade launchers, tried to get a couple volleys off, but they routed in the sheer presence of Kholek. Yes, he's only at 353 health, but they're scared nonetheless. He's going to escort them off the battlefield. So I'm going to send my Empire Captain to try and knock him out of the air. I think if I can get him off the battlefield, then the Summoners of Range, yes, will be scary, but I think with the army losses and that ping to his morale, I think things will be tipped in my favor. My guys are now regrouping. No more ammo left on my Outriders, which is too bad, but things are going okay. I'm starting to regroup. More demis coming back. Boris now healed up to almost full strength. Should end up at about 1300 there. So things are looking pretty good for me. But these Chosen, that's a lot of health as well. 4k there, 3k there. And my captain did drop in here, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to do a single strike on Kholek. And with the Terrify, it's going to escort him off the battlefield as well. So that was probably a miss move on my side. I thought I could hit Kholek from the air, drop on him, and on the charge do a fair amount of damage. Just enough to see him off. But unfortunately, Kholek was able to, I guess, rebuff or brace or do something. And he just took that like a champ and banished my lord. So things went the opposite direction, which could have gone my way had I sent perhaps Boris. I should have sent both lords after Kholek, just completely escorted him off the battlefield. I was a little worried about the Summoners of Rage, which is exactly what's happening here. So time was kind of the essence. That's why I sent the captain first. Had I sent Boris, it would have, triggered these Summoners of Rage to come back, but that's okay. Maybe that's what I needed, because what I can do here is at least drag down these Chosen who are trying to regroup to their lord. So I can use my lords, as I'm doing now, to pull off the support, and then come in here, get some free charges, and try and get rid of these Chosen. But now he's back with his friends. This is going to be pretty scary for me. Let's put this a little bit on fast forward. So the Chosen are now engaged, get a clean charge with great swords against his guys. And then, once again, Kholek is going to be terrified. So this is looking good for me. I have all my front line collapse against his guys, but unfortunately now we've swapped a little bit of roles where, I've sent my monsters and mobile forces against his own guys. And this time I'm not going to mess up. I'm going to escort him right to the edge of the line. And I figured, okay, he's gone. Unfortunately, though, it has meant that his Summoners of Rage have been able to get into the fight, and they're going to pulverize my great swords here. One of them already wavering, and they're going to really summon up, buff up these Chosen who have taken no damage really since we last checked up on them, despite my harassment. So Kholek is gone, but the battle is still dead even. And Karl Franz is going to circle overhead. Not exactly sure if he wants to engage just yet. I'm a little scared of how much damage the enemy can put on. So what I'm waiting is just a little bit longer for my great swords to hold out. And I'm going to wait for that rear charge with the Outriders to maybe disrupt his guys. And it looks like it's going to work. So he's going to eat the charge from the Summoners of Rage. And then Boris does come in, isolates them, kills one of their models. And now we're in it for the end game here, ladies and gentlemen. Chosen with Summoners of Rage versus Boris with some great swords. Pretty epic matchup. And this is going to come down to the wire. It looks like here Chosen have been terrified with the landing of Boris, but Boris is down to 666 health. That's really scary stuff. I needed him in here for the Terrify to get the Chosen off the battlefield, pull him out of that fight, and things may look good. We're looking at a health pool of 2,000 versus 1,600 with an additional 300, so it's about even on health, but these models are really, really scary. My guys just can't get close enough to do the damage. Once they do, they're going to get pounced on and smashed by his guys. So I really need Boris to come back, but unfortunately he's routing, and that means it's just the great swords left. Oh god, my guys are rallying somewhat. So this is, like I said, a true nail biter, but at the same time, Chosen do come back as well. This is getting really close. My guys are going to rally, have a little bit of a force, but boom, army losses hits me. Just as that engaged unit of great swords breaks, it tips it in my favor, and my guys over here, who perhaps were going to have a second wind, just call it a day. But that was such an epic fight. Really enjoyed that one. Hope you guys did it as well. Let's go ahead and end the replay and take a look at the final stats in this engagement. So I think I played this one pretty well. My main thing that I did wrong was complete mismanagement of that Lumen Ark. I got too aggressive with it. I was trying to, as you saw in that early game, trying to get it with some early shots on Kholek, try and get some nets. I guess I wasn't exactly sure how far that net could get. So I was trying to net him as he was a little bit too far out my grasp, made my Temple Ark Lumen Ark pull out a little bit too far in front of my front lines, and then the enemy pounced at that mismanagement there. So this thing, had it sat back, just, you know, forego trying to get those early wins and just sit back, provide some protection against these Marauder Horsemen, but sit back in my rear lines and just snipe away at these Lords as they come in. I think I would have done way better. And probably if I'm going to put on net on anything, it probably would have been best used on these Summoners of Rage, who you saw were the MVPs of this battle with so many kills. Should have been trying to focus them down, but I think the rest of the play was pretty solid, getting a lot of value with these Outriders and Outriders with grenade launchers, and the rest of them functioning fairly well. So anyways, like I said, this was a fun battle. Not too often that you see Empire with fewer men than Chaos. So yeah, it made for a bit more micro-heavy, where every single unit did count. And yeah, the Great Sword's performing fairly well also. But that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.